Hey guys, it's SickMotion, and I'm here with the patch 4.19 notes, and I'm going to just do another quick review for them. So, I think this is going to be the last patch of this season. I don't know if they're going to still count them as Season 4. They'll probably count them as Pre-Season 5 patches when they come up here, since the season's ending next week, November 11th. But let's get right into the notes here. They fixed some bugs with Singed to start, where you would throw someone and you would have no idea where they're going to end up. You'd normally throw them behind you, but sometimes you were like pushing them forward, you were throwing them sideways. It was a really frustrating bug, and they finally cleared that up. And now, also, this has been in the making for a while. When you fling someone onto your adhesive, it'll be also snare them for 1 second. So it gives you a little bit of a choice. You don't have to just throw your adhesive ahead of them to slow them down when you throw them. You might want to save it to catch up to them and then throw them onto the adhesive, but have the adhesive down when you throw them. A lot of cool things you can do with that. I think that's going to be a fun kind of skill ceiling raising ability change there. And his ultimate now gives 15 more of everything that it gives at max level. Nothing else is affected, but the level 16, level 3 ult will give you more stats because when you get to the end game, having going from 50 to 65 wasn't that much of a big deal. So they ended up buffing that a little bit, so his end game's a little more tanky. So that's gonna be nice. Scion, a bunch of bug fixes and some buffs as well. He got his health per level buffed a little. He got back on the health as well down here. His health per large monster kill, champion kill, or assist has been increased by 2, so he'll get more health from there as well. Mana cost reduced on his Q and on his W, which is nice. It's always nice to have your mana cost down. The mana actually went up on his E, and most signs that I've seen that played well in solo lanes, or even as support I've seen recently, they've been maxing their E and just throwing minions at the enemy. So that's going to make that harass a little harder to do. So they might have to find a new way to do that. I personally don't like the new Scion rework that much. Maybe in the future you'll find me loving Scion. We'll see how that goes. But as of right now, I'm not enjoying it too much. There was a bug that the Sunfire Cape wasn't working while he was a zombie, so that's going to be really effective. You can run around and burn people now. That's just extra damage when you die and you come back in your passive state. There was a bug with Yorick's ult. I'm not exactly sure what it is. Glory and Death no longer fails to activate in cases where Scion is targeted by Yorick's Omen of Death, doesn't trigger the revive effect, and then dies later on in the match. I've never actually seen that myself, but there was a weird interaction. It's fixed now. The big thing on his passive being changed is now it goes down by a flat number rather than by a percentage. So I'm thinking that's going to make, well, it's obviously going to make his passive I've died thing stay for a lot longer. It still goes down faster the longer it's been up, but it's not by a percentage. So it's not basically going to die no matter what at a certain time. So stacking health is going to be a lot more effective. And with all the health buffs on him, it'll be easier to get that health to stack. I think these are all kind of cool steps in the right direction. Scion is obviously they want him to be like a huge beefy front line. I've seen most Scion builds that end game, even not focusing too much on health items, end up with over 4,000 health almost every time. So as soon as there's like a viable way to play him, I think it's kind of cool. But all the health in the world doesn't take away from the fact that he's a really clunky champion, and the current favorite champions and whatnot are usually mobile. So it's really easy to just walk beside him, kite around if your champion has any type of mobility. So overall, quality of life, yes, increased. Buffs, yes. I don't like Scion still. Here's another quality of life increase. Flash Frost will now just shoot to your cursor. You won't have to move to get in range to where your cursor is. So people kind of newer to Anivia, that's going to help them learn it. I'm sure Anivia veterans already found ways around that. The passive on the tower wasn't ramping up properly for Azir. So I actually had that happen to me. My tower, I felt like it was hitting like a wet noodle, and I was really upset. And I was like, I'm dying. Tower, help me out here. And it wouldn't help me. Now it can probably help me if I was in that same situation. Bunch of bug fixes on his ult. I'm sure there's still a lot more. I've been pinned to a wall by an Azir ult. not able to move or cast abilities type thing. Like I was constantly being knocked up by it. A lot of things like that, making it kind of frustrating. But I'm sure there's bugs for Azir that make using it himself frustrating. I know I sucked when I was using Azir's ult when I was trying to learn the champion. So bug fixes are always nice. I think Azir as a champion has a lot of potential, and I think I don't know like how competitive, but I think he's going to be seeing a lot of play in season 5. Hopefully, he's kind of a unique champion, but his damage is insane. His damage on Baron when you have not even a full end game build, but getting there, and you have 3 soldiers hitting Baron, he's hitting the Baron for like 700 damage a hit, and he's building attack speed, and he gets attack speed from his passive, so you can imagine how fast the Baron dies there. Bug, there are a bunch of bugs like this that have been fixed. Spamming basic abilities at the end of Crowstorm in this case, but the end of any ability cause the ability to go on cooldown without casting or appearing on cooldown on HUD on the heads up display. That's kind of frustrating. I can imagine if that happened. I don't think I've experienced that. I don't play much Fiddle. Did I miss any up here? No, but there's some more of those. We'll just skip down to go over the other ones that receive similar treatment. Pantheon had it for his Grand Skyfall. I'm sure I've ran into that and not noticed it before. Vi had it with her E. Or no, Vi didn't have it with her E. Warwick had it with his ult. Vi's E got a different thing we'll go over in a second. But those 3 champions ended up getting the bug fix where I'm not sure what was causing that, but it's gone now. Janna got nerfed. She's been seeing a lot of play. So Zephyr no longer scales down in cooldown with level. So it's going to be less frustrating to play against Janna. I still think she's very strong though. And similar to the Anivia Q, her Q will now shoot to where your cursor is rather than trying to position yourself to get in range to shoot it to where your cursor is. This is kind of cool. LeBlanc's mirror image no longer de-stealthed when flashing. I'm sure it still shows the flash particle because you can see the flash particle through a lot of things. But if LeBlanc stealths, she gets her passive triggered, and then you just see a flash. You have no idea where that flash actually went, and then she's going to come out of stealth. Her clone's going to come out of stealth, and now they can theoretically be way further away from each other, and now you're going to have to make the choice which one do you chase. So I think that's going to be really cool for some cool outplays with that. Although when you're actually going to be wanting to use the flash to do that is going to be situational. Lucian got huge nerfs here. The culling we'll start with. Go bottom to the top here. Got a cooldown reduction nerf. And at level 3, it's actually 40 seconds more. So that's a huge nerf. It's almost double the time. So it's going to make it really hard for him to clean up the kills. Or one thing that it was really strong for was wave clearing and holding off sieges or pushing into someone's base. So that's going to hurt him. Movement speed buff on his W, however, it lost its AD ratio. So it's more survivability and utility, but less damage. I don't think he really cared about the damage loss on that. His passive's more than enough damage. He's just shooting that to shoot off his passive. But it'll be nice. I don't know. I don't play Lucian, so when I have to play against him, I want him to be as weak as possible. Ryze got hit with the nerf stick pretty hard here. Base damage on Q goes down by 20 at level 1 and then 5 every level, increasing to 40 at level 5. 40 damage at level 5 is quite a lot. The damage at level 1 is quite a lot as well. It's going to make Ryze really hard to harass out the enemy champion with the same amount of sustain the enemy champion has. He's going to have to do a lot more spells, a lot more Q spells to be able to do the same amount of damage, and that's going to him in lane, so he might have trouble sustaining his mana pool early, and his really strong early game against some champions like Jax, for example, might not be as abusable. He's still ranged, he still does damage, it's just less frustrating, I'm assuming. I'm sure he still does well in those matchups. Later on, when you get into the game, you have a lot of CDR, you're rifling off a bunch of spells. If every Q you're shooting is doing 40 less damage, over time, that's going to you're really going to feel that doing less damage. So I personally am not a fan of the Ryze top and the Mage's top type thing. I always like bruisers, so that's a positive for me. I'm happy about that. I don't like playing Ryze that much either. We already did. Oh no, we didn't go over the Vi here. Fixed a bug where excessive force wasn't properly dealing splash damage in its cone. So I don't play Vi that often, so I wasn't noticing that. I'm sure Vi players are like that, and as always, a bug fix is nice. You want things working as intended, whether it's too strong or too weak. It should be doing what you think it's going to do. Zillion's passive was actually the last global passive that was in the game. Janna's used to give global movement speed, for example. TF's used to give global extra gold, for example. His was the last remaining one, and it got nerfed. It's no longer global. It's only 1500 range. So if it's a Zillion support bottom lane, he'll still give his lane partner increased experience, but not top lane, for example. If I have a Zillion bot lane, I'm not going to get level 2 off 6 minions instead of 7. So it's a nice change as well. It was kind of frustrating having to play around that, knowing that your opponent was going to get level 2 faster than you regardless. If they killed one less minion, they'll still get 2 faster than you. Tons of splash updates. They're really visually trying to make everything sync up with the new map, I think. Crest of the Ancient Golem and Blessing of the Lizard Elder, so red buff, blue buff, now is called Crest of Insight, Crest of Cinders, RIP, the memories of Golem and Lizard Elder. You'll be forever missed. New Victorious Morgana skin, season's ending. Everyone kind of knows that. November 11th at right when the clock ticks. November 11th, it's going to be ending. And then Victorious Morgana for those who achieved gold, as always with the Victorious skin. Just some general improvements here all the way along, and then a new skin that'll be coming out in this patch. Reaper Soraka looks pretty cool. I don't play much Soraka. Maybe I will if the skin is cool enough. I don't play much support though. But as always, skins make you win more. Statistically proven. But that's it for this patch notes, guys. Thank you for watching, and we'll probably won't see you again on a patch note review, I'm assuming, until at least in the preseason for Season 5. So I'll see you guys in the future. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe, check out my other videos, and then check out my stream as well. The link to that, it can be found in the description. And you guys take it easy.